Okay, so ever have that feeling? You're working really hard, putting in the hours, getting good results,
Hmm.
but somehow the big projects, the recognition, it just seems to go to other people.
Yeah, or you see folks who, let's be honest, maybe aren't the top performers, but they're climbing the ladder. It happens.
Exactly. It can be frustrating. So today we're going to really get into that. We're
Mhm.
talking about power in organizations, how it really works.
We're diving into Jeffrey Pfeffer's book, Power, Why Some People Have It and Others Don't. And it's a very practical look at things.
Yeah, think of it less like theory and more like a field guide to navigating the workplace.
Right. It looks at why some people gain influence, why they get ahead, based on, what actually happens out there.
And just to be clear, our mission here isn't about making you manipulative or anything like that.
No, not at all.
It's about pulling out the really useful stuff from Pfeffer so you can be more effective, get your work seen, and, well, achieve what you want to achieve.
It's about understanding the landscape, really, so you can navigate it better, whatever your job is.
Okay, so where do we start? Pfeffer comes out swinging against a pretty common idea, doesn't he?
He really does.
Yeah.
He basically challenges the whole idea of a pure meritocracy.
Hmm.
The belief that the best work always wins. That hard work alone gets you there.
Right. He argues pretty strongly that while being good at your job is important, obviously,
Crucial, even.
crucial, yeah, but it's often not the main thing that gets you power or influence. Things like social skills, strategy, just being visible,
Yeah.
they can matter more.
It's kind of a tough pill to swallow sometimes, but you see it, right? Really talented people who just focus on the work, heads down.
And they get overlooked.
Exactly.
Cut.
Because they don't play the visibility game. They assume the work speaks for itself.
But Pfeffer says it often doesn't. You have to help it speak. You need to be known for the results.
Yeah, advocating for yourself, making sure the right people know what you're accomplishing. It's not just about the what, it's the who knows what. Perception management, he calls it.
Okay, so being good isn't enough. You need to be seen as good. That makes sense. What about relationships? That seems like a big piece, too.
Oh, absolutely huge. Pfeffer spends a lot of time on likability, loyalty, and uh, reciprocity. That basic
Yeah.
human thing, you help me, I help you.
Right. People tend to back people they actually like or people who've done them a favor in the past.
Exactly. So building those connections, doing favors strategically, it builds up social capital.
Even small things, like helping someone out with a minor problem.
Yeah, those small gestures add up. It's about being seen as helpful, as generous, but, with some intention behind it.
Not just randomly, but cultivating allies.
Precisely. Building that network so people are willing to support you later.
Hmm.
It's just understanding how organizations function. Mutual support is vital.
Okay, this next bit. Projecting power. This can feel a bit uncomfortable for some people, I think.
It can, yeah. But Pfeffer points out how much your nonverbal signals matter. Your posture, how confidently you speak, your tone of voice.
It all sends messages about your perceived authority.
Totally. Speaking decisively, not always hedging with maybe or I think or apologizing constantly.
Yeah.
That projects competence.
It's like that old advice, dress for the job you want, but applied to your whole demeanor.
Kind of. He even warns against saying, I don't know too often, or being excessively humble, because perception can become reality in these settings.
People trust and follow those who seem confident, who seem like they're in control.
Right. It's not about being arrogant, just mindful. Mindful of the signals you're sending.
Okay, so visibility, relationships, projecting confidence.
Yeah.
How do you build a solid base for all this? Pfeffer talks about a power base, right?
He does. 3 main pillars, he says. Allies, visibility, and credibility.
Allies, the network we talked about. Visibility being known. Credibility having that reputation for being competent, reliable.
Exactly. You need all 3. And a really key part of this is figuring out who really has the influence.
Not just the names on the org chart.
Definitely not. Sometimes the real power brokers are less obvious, so you need to identify them.
And then what? Try to get closer.
Pfeffer suggests that, yeah, being strategic about your career moves, maybe changing departments, finding mentors who are influential, taking roles that put you physically or functionally nearer to the power centers.
Proximity matters.
It really does. Which ties into his next point about the environment itself.
Ah, right. It's not all just about you, but where you are.
Precisely. The company you're in, your specific department, even who your boss is, it all impacts your ability to gain influence.
So being in a growing part of the company or a department that's seen as critical, that gives you an edge.
A significant one.
Yeah.
especially if you have sponsors there, people who can advocate for you, and real opportunities to shine.
He uses that metaphor, choosing the right soil to grow in.
Yeah, I like that. It suggests that where you plant yourself can make a big difference in how much you flourish.
Okay, and speaking of flourishing, self-promotion, another potentially tricky area.
Definitely. A lot of us are taught that it's, bragging or unseemly to talk about our accomplishments.
Right. Modesty is a virtue.
Well, yes, in many contexts. But Pfeffer argues that in a professional setting, if you don't make your achievements known, you can't rely on others to do it for you consistently.
So you have to toot your own horn a little bit.
But tactfully, he gives ideas, like using storytelling to highlight your successes, using data or visuals to show impact, or even getting others to talk about your work.
Indirect methods.
Exactly. The main point is that visibility is essential for building credibility. If people don't know what you've done, how can they see you as credible? So excessive modesty can actually hold you back.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what about when things aren't smooth sailing, conflict happens? How does power play into that?
Pfeffer actually sees conflict not just as something bad to be avoided, but as, well, normal, part of organizational life.
And potentially an opportunity.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
An opportunity to gain influence. He says it's important to stand up for your ideas, to take sides strategically, not aggressively, necessarily, but assertively.
So sometimes power comes from tackling the difficult stuff others shy away from.
It can, yeah. Stepping into those challenging situations shows leadership, competence, courage.
Okay, but having power,
Hmm.
it's not all roses, is it? There must be downsides. Pfeffer talks about this.
He does. He's realistic. Having power can mean more stress. It can attract envy, opposition.
Not everyone's going to like you.
That's a key point he makes. And you have to be okay with that. It comes with the territory.
And it's not like you reach a certain level of influence and just stay there automatically.
Definitely not. Maintaining power is an ongoing job. Pfeffer highlights pitfalls like becoming arrogant, cutting yourself off from your network, losing touch,
Getting complacent.
big time, or just failing to adapt when things change in the organization. You have to keep nurturing your base, stay politically aware. It's continuous.
Wow. Okay. So if we were to boil down Pfeffer's core advice for someone listening wanting to be more effective, what would it be?
I think it comes down to a few things. First, accept that politics aren't necessarily dirty. They're just how things work. Understand the game.
Okay. Embrace the reality.
Second, be intentional about building relationships and managing your image, your visibility.
Actively work on it.
And third, remember that power isn't some magic quality you're born with or without. It's a skill set.
Yeah.
You can learn it, you can develop it.
So the big picture is, yes, be good at your job, work hard. That's the foundation.
Absolutely.
But also, you absolutely need to understand and navigate these power dynamics skillfully if you really want to achieve your goals. It's about the work and how you operate within the social system.
Couldn't have said it better.
Mm.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Yeah.
Take a look around your own workplace. Think about those informal structures. Who really has the influence, maybe beyond their job title? How do they wield it?
And then ask yourself,
What small changes could you make? Not to be someone you're not, but just to understand the dynamics better, play the game a bit more effectively, and get closer to your definition of success.